The fluorescent lights of Terminal C blurred through. Emma's tears as she counted the crumpled bills one more time. $47. That was all that stood between her and complete disaster. Her daughter Lily's small hand squeezed hers tighter. Those innocent 5-year-old eyes looking up with complete trust that her mother would somehow make everything okay. But Emma didn't know if she could anymore. She'd been sitting on this cold airport bench for 3 hours now, watching other families breeze past with their rolling suitcases and carefree laughter, while she clutched a duffel bag containing everything they owned. The eviction notice had been taped to their door 2 days ago. The bus tickets to her sister's place across the country had taken the last of her savings, and now the announcement she'd been dreading crackled through the speakers. Their connecting flight had been canceled due to mechanical issues. The next available seats wouldn't be until tomorrow morning. If they could afford the rebooking fee, Emma pressed her palms against her eyes, trying to hold herself together. She'd been so strong for so long. 2 years since Marcus left. 2 years of working double shifts at the diner while studying for her nursing certification. 2 years of choosing between groceries and electricity, of patching Lily's shoes with cardboard because new ones weren't in the budget. She'd told herself things would get better. She'd promised Lily they'd have a fresh start. But right now, in this impersonal airport with nowhere to go and no way forward, Emma felt the weight of every failed promise crushing down on her chest. "Mommy, I'm hungry," Lily whispered, tugging on her worn jacket. Emma's heart shattered into smaller pieces. They'd shared a granola bar hours ago. "I know, sweetheart. Just a little longer, okay?" She forced herself to stand, to move, because movement kept the panic at bay. They'd find a quiet corner somewhere, maybe sleep in the chairs overnight. People did that, didn't they? She'd figure out the rebooking tomorrow. She always figured things out. Emma gathered their bag and started walking toward the quieter gates, Lily's hand firmly in hers. The terminal stretched endlessly before them. A maze of shops and restaurants they couldn't afford, filled with people living lives that felt impossibly distant from her own. That's when she heard it, a voice that didn't belong to this moment, to this desperate reality. "Emma? Emma Rodriguez?" She turned slowly, almost afraid she'd imagined it. But there he was, standing 10 feet away in an impeccably tailored charcoal suit. His eyes, those same warm brown eyes, widening with recognition and disbelief. "Daniel?" The name came out as barely a whisper. Daniel Chen, her first love, the boy who'd walked her home from the library every evening during junior year. The one who'd taught her to see constellations in the night sky, who'd kissed her under the bleachers after homecoming, who'd talked about changing the world someday, the one she'd had to let go when his family moved across the country for his father's job, both of them 17 and heartbroken, promising to find their way back to each other, but knowing somehow that life had different plans. That was 15 years ago, a lifetime ago. He moved toward her and she saw the shock register on his face as he took in her appearance, the exhaustion etched into her features, the worn clothes, the way she instinctively pulled Lily closer. "It's really you," Daniel said, his voice carrying an emotion she couldn't quite place. "I can't believe after all these years—" His eyes dropped to Lily, and his expression softened impossibly. "Is this your daughter?" Emma nodded, her throat tight. She felt exposed, vulnerable in a way that made her want to disappear. This wasn't how she'd imagined running into anyone from her past, especially not Daniel, especially not him seeing her like this, broken and desperate. "This is Lily," she managed. "Lily, sweetie, this is Mr. Chen. We went to school together a long time ago." "Hi," Lily said shyly, leaning against Emma's leg. Daniel crouched down to Lily's level, his expensive suit bending with him. "Hi, Lily. That's a beautiful name. I bet you're as smart as your mom. She was the smartest person in our whole school." Despite everything, Emma felt a flush creep up her neck. "Daniel, that's not—" "It's true," he said, standing back up, his eyes meeting hers with an intensity that transported her back to those library evenings, those whispered dreams about the future. "You were going to be a doctor. You were going to change the world." There was no judgment in his voice, only genuine curiosity. "Did you? Did you become a doctor?" The question shouldn't have hurt, but it did. It hurt because of everything it represented, all the dreams she'd deferred. All the versions of herself she'd had to sacrifice. Life took some different turns, Emma said quietly. I'm working on my nursing certification. And Lily is everything. She saw something flicker across Daniel's face, a recognition of all the words she wasn't saying. Before he could respond, a woman in a business suit approached, holding a tablet. Mr. Chen, the car is ready whenever you are. Your flight to Singapore boards in 45 minutes. Thank you, Jennifer. Give me a moment. The woman nodded and stepped away, and Emma felt the gulf between. Their lives widen, impossibly. Mr. Chen or Singapore. He'd done it then. He'd changed the world, or at least his corner of it. I'm sorry I'm keeping you from your flight, Emma said, already starting to turn away, desperate to escape before her humiliation became complete. Emma, wait! Daniel's hand touched her arm gently. Are you okay? I don't mean to pry, but you seem... Are you here traveling somewhere? The concern in his voice was her undoing. She felt the careful walls she'd built start to crumble. We're trying to, she said, and despite her best efforts, her voice cracked. Our connecting flight was canceled. We're supposed to be heading to my sister's place in Oregon. But... She stopped, unable to continue without completely falling apart. Daniel's expression shifted, and she saw the boy she'd once loved surface, beneath the polished exterior, of the man he'd become. What do you need? He asked simply. Daniel, I'm not asking for anything. I just need to figure out... I know you're not asking. I'm offering. He pulled out his phone. Jennifer, cancel the Singapore flight. Yes, I'm sure. Reschedule everything for tomorrow evening. And I need you to check something for me. Flights to Portland, Oregon. Tonight, if possible, tomorrow morning at the latest. 2 passengers. He paused. Actually, make that 3. Emma's heart pounded. Daniel, no. You can't. You have a flight to Singapore. I'm not going to let you... Emma. He said her name like a prayer, like a promise. 15 years ago, I got on a plane and left you standing in your driveway. I've thought about that moment more times than I can count. I'm not getting on another plane and leaving you, standing in an airport. His voice dropped lower. Please, let me help. But your meeting can wait 24 hours. Some things are more important. He looked down at Lily, who was watching the exchange with wide eyes. Right, Lily? Sometimes we have to help our friends, even if it changes our plans. Lily nodded solemnly. That's what Mommy always says. She says being kind is the most important thing. Daniel smiled, and Emma saw his eyes glisten. Your mommy is very wise. The next few hours passed in a blur that Emma would later struggle to piece together. Daniel had his assistant book them all into a nearby hotel, 3 rooms. Though Emma protested, she and Lily could share. He ordered room service for dinner, and Emma watched through tears as Lily devoured chicken fingers and fries, her face glowing with simple happiness. Over the meal, their stories tumbled out. Daniel told them about the tech startup he'd founded in his garage 8 years ago, how it had grown beyond anything he'd imagined, how success had come with its own complicated burdens. I have everything I thought I wanted, he said quietly, picking at his salad. But somewhere along the way, I forgot what I was working for. Forgot what actually matters. Emma told him about Lily's father leaving, about the struggle to keep their heads above water, about the nursing program she'd had to put on hold, but was determined to finish, about the eviction and the bus tickets, and the sister who'd offered them a lifeline. You're the bravest person I've ever known, Daniel said when she finished. Raising a daughter alone, working multiple jobs, still pursuing your dreams, Emma, that's extraordinary. She laughed, but it came out as half a sob. I don't feel extraordinary. I feel like I'm barely surviving. That's what bravery looks like, he said. It's not fearlessness. It's being terrified and showing up anyway. After Lily fell asleep in the hotel room, Emma and Daniel sat in the hallway, an echo of all those evenings on her porch 15 years ago, and talked until early morning. He told her about the loneliness of his life, about boardrooms and deal-making, and the emptiness of nights spent in luxury, hotels in cities whose names blurred together. She told him about Lily's laugh, about the small victories that kept her going, about the future she was still fighting to build. I never stopped wondering about you, Daniel admitted as the sun began to rise outside the window. Every major moment in my life, I'd think, I wish I could share this with Emma. I wish she could see this. And then I'd remember that we'd become strangers, living completely different lives. We're not strangers. Emma said softly. Not really. You're still the same person who taught me about constellations. And you're still the same person who believed I could be more than I thought I was. The next morning, Daniel didn't just book them flights to Oregon. He paid for 6 months' rent on a small house near Emma's sister. He set up a fund for Lily's education. He contacted the nursing program. Emma had been attending and quietly paid off her remaining tuition. When Emma protested, overwhelmed, weeping, insisting it was too much, he took her hands. Emma, do you remember what you told me the night before I moved away? You said that if I ever got the chance to make a difference in someone's life, I should take it. That it's not about how much money you have or don't. It's about showing up for people when it matters, his voice caught. You've been showing up every single day for your daughter, for your future, for everything that matters. Let me show up for you. Just this once. At the gate for their flight to Portland, Lily wrapped her arms around Daniel's legs. Will we see you again? She asked. Daniel looked at Emma, a question in his eyes. If your mom says it's okay, I'd like that very much. Emma nodded, unable to speak past the emotion closing her throat. Then yes, Daniel promised Lily, ruffling her hair. You'll definitely see me again. As their plane lifted off an hour later, Emma held Lily close and watched the sunrise paint the clouds gold and pink. For the first time in years, she felt something she'd almost forgotten. Hope. Not because someone had rescued her. She'd been rescuing herself all along, but because someone had seen her struggle and honored it. Because kindness had shown up in the most unexpected way at the most desperate moment. 3 months later, Emma received a package. Inside was a framed photograph of the night sky, with 2 constellations circled in gold ink. A note in Daniel's handwriting read, "The brave ones, still finding their way home." She hung it in Lily's bedroom where they could see it every night. A reminder that the universe had a way of bringing people back together. That first love sometimes got second chances. That even in our darkest moments, when we're counting crumpled bills in airport terminals with nowhere left to turn, humanity, in all its beautiful, unexpected forms, has a way of showing up exactly when we need it most.